All right, so today I'm going to be doing a review on the Arsenal RZR SUB 2 saddle platform. I bought this with my own money. This is an unbiased review. If you want to check these things out for yourself at like a local shop rather than ordering it online like I did, there is a shop in the area, River Archery. Bunch of knowledgeable guys there. They're good guys. They have this platform, a bunch of other platforms, a bunch of saddle gear. Most of the guys there are saddle hunters, so they're knowledgeable in it. They can teach you all kinds of stuff. Not affiliated with them in any way. The shop's been good to me, though. I like all the guys there, so I'll give them a shout out. If my review's not good enough and you need to handle it for yourself, or you want to see some of my complaints, because there are complaints, you can see it for yourself there before you buy it. So, with that being said, let's do this like a breakup. I'm going to tell you all the things I like about the thing. I'm going to tell you what I don't like about it, and then we're going to decide whether we're going to stick together or not. I'm in the trades, so I really appreciate good craftsmanship and stuff like that. And this thing is very pretty. Not going to lie. It's very well machined, very well finished. Just everything about this thing is just quality for sure. There's nothing cheap about this thing, and it's not cheap, so that makes sense. I like one of the big selling points for me before I bought this was I like that it folds flat, so you can slide this in if you got like a two-piece backpack where you can slip it in, or just slip it into a pack in general. But it sits flat and it's very thin. I believe they say this is under an inch. I don't know if it's actually under an inch or not when you figure the cleat, but to me it looks bigger than an inch. But regardless, it's pretty damn thin. They really thought out a lot of things on this, like this post. It's got a little bumper stop. When you fold this down, it hits on this bar, and it's quiet, doesn't make a metal slapping sound. You don't have to be careful with it. The saddle adjustment, it's neat. We're going to test that. We're going to get this thing wet. We're going to freeze it because I want to know if this thing can hold up for late season. I think it's going to fail, but I haven't done it yet, so we're going to find out together. Now, let's get into some bad a little bit. I mean, that might have been a little bad, but anyhow. Before I bought this thing, I spent a lot of time watching trade show demos of these things. And I'm not a fan of this cleat that they got on here. Watching the guys put it on in the demonstrations and stuff, it just looked kind of meticulous to make the bends and get the rope into the hooks where you need to do it in order to lock this thing down. And when I'm hanging off the side of a tree and I'm trying to get set up, I just want something that's fast and simple, and especially when you get into late season when it's cold. I'm wearing gloves, I don't want to have to make fine motor movements. I want to be able to just go like this, So when I looked this thing up on their website shows a different cleat than what this is, and it's much bigger. It's kind of more like a X, it's got bigger fins, or not fins, but bigger tabs, where it looked like you'd be able to take your rope and just kind of figure eight it on them. I'm like, that's cool. That's what I want to see on a platform, not something where you got to make small bends. So I ordered it, hoping that my platform would come with that style of, they call it a rope lock cleat on the platform. And when I got it, this is what I got, which was disappointing. So I called them up and I said, hey, on your website it shows a different cleat. I got this cleat on there. What's the deal with that? And the guy I spoke to, if I remember correctly, I think his name was Alex. Very nice, very polite, knowledgeable. And he explained to me that picture that they got on their website was a cleat that they were experimenting with, but it's not coming out this year, and it might be a couple of years if they even decide to go with it. So this is what they're all getting sent out with, which, I don't know. I haven't heard. I'm going to be more critical than any review that I've seen on these things. I don't like it, but we'll move on to the next thing here. This top piece of the platform where your top tree bracket or whatever you want to call this, this they could have done something to kind of quiet it down, because if you slap this down, it makes a noise. But whatever, you know, if you do it quiet, it still makes unless you keep your fingers on the buttons and then release it, then you can do it completely silent, which is okay, whatever. You know, it's just one of those things you kind of learn to do. You got to push in both of the tabs. And I don't know if you could hear that. On my platform, I'm not saying that they're all going to do this, but on mine, this one kind of hangs up sometimes and gets hard to push, which is going to be an issue late season hunting. You know, luckily, that's for after the hunt, you know, when you're folding this back down. So if you had to fold it up with it engaged, you still can. It's just going to take up a little more room in your pack to get out, but whatever, you know, at least it's not a failure point in order to begin your hunt. It's more of an after the hunt pack up type of deal that you got to deal with that. And I don't think that's going to hold up too well to getting wet and freezing. So that's going to be one of the tests that we're going to do today. I can't get this damn thing to stay tight to the tree without having to really mess with it a lot. I put this on the tree. I've been dealing with most of the trees I've tested this on were a little bit softer bark trees, black walnut trees in particular. This thing, I don't know, man. I got a lot of nitpicking is what I got on this thing. I don't like the way that they cut the teeth, the angles on this. What you'll see, and I'm going to record this. I haven't recorded any of this footage yet, but I have experimented, is when you set this thing and you cam down, they got the back side of these teeth shaved off. So it allows us to slip up the tree instead of getting your maximum amount of bite and pull down. And then the back side is square. So now that you're on the platform and you need to recam this thing up and back down again, these teeth, they bite in because you're lifting right on the points of these. So it really bites into the tree and you end up lifting the whole platform up again. Where to me, I would have done this either a double bevel, like what you see on what's on my Lone Wolf tree stands. They got a double bevel, so it comes to a dull point in the center, rather than just the single angle. You know, if they're going to do it one way or another, to me, they got this thing upside down. You know, I would rather have, you know, being able to cam, bite in and drive that thing locking down that way with the sharp part of the teeth digging in and pulling down, rather than slipping to cam down, which they're probably doing that to keep you from over torquing the stand. I understand that. But then to keep this bottom sharp so that when you lift up, you got to lift your whole weight with the platform before it'll drop and slide down the tree again. Why are we doing that? Why not just make it work? So yeah, that's my biggest bitch about this thing, to be perfectly honest. That and the way that the rope is, because I've tried so hard. There is some slippage in this thing no matter how I do it, where you can see it pull through the cleat a little bit. Eventually it cinches down and does get tight. But that's after usually it's 3 times. So I always set it real nice into the tree, sometimes twice before I actually get on it. And I like to make sure that she slid down as best that I can do. And then I'll get on it and I'll put my weight in it. I'll give her a little bounce. And this top bracket will pull off the tree every time, because that rope gives slack into this cleat to tighten up. So now you got to lift up again and recam it. But when you do that, you're like I said, you're lifting your whole weight. So like right now I'm wearing some Hey Dudes. it hurts. You know, it takes a lot of pressure to lift this up. If you're wearing rubber boots, it's not a big deal, or you're just wearing boots in general. But I tried to do this in my Hey Dudes, and it was painful to try to get enough leverage to lift this up because I'm lifting all of my weight because these teeth are biting into the tree the wrong way. You know, instead of pulling down, they're keeping me from lifting up. So anyhow, that's that. I'm going to do some, we'll take a bunch of video, we'll do a bunch of footage here, and we're going to, then after we're done today, I'm going to freeze this sucker, and we're going to try to use, we're going to see what stops working. If it stops working, maybe it's going to hold up. We'll find out. So in their directions where they show you how to mount this thing to the tree, they show you with the platform down and this your tree bracket folded up to put your rope on and secure your platform, and then to, you know, kind of tip up, get enough slack in there to flip that out, and then you're supposed to cam your platform down until it's tight. You're not getting it tight enough, you know. It works. It's just not the most efficient way to go about it. So the other thing is I've tried to, you know, do it like this. Well, now you don't have a lot of room in here to get this cleat, you know, trying to get in there. That's why they're showing you how to do it with it down already. But if you do it like this, you get the maximum amount of tightness on your rope. Even then, when I set this thing, this top post pulls away from the tree, and I got to reset it a bunch of times to get it tight again. Don't like it. Now, I will tell you, I will say something positive right now, is these teeth bite. So even when this top tree bracket has pulled away from the tree, it still handles side pressure really well because these teeth are bit in so tight. I was actually pretty impressed when I was kind of like putting pressure on this thing, even with the top post not engaged in the tree. It handles it pretty good. It's not rocky. Like, I don't know if any of you guys had the original tethered platform. You could get into that situation where it was kind of unsafe because they weren't nearly as aggressive as the modern stuff is now. So anyhow, what I did to mitigate this rope, so I'm not even going to, you know, I'm not even going to say all bad about this rope here. There's some things I like about this rope. It weighs nothing. That's pretty cool. When you put this on the platform and fold it flat, the rope stays inside the platform, and it's got this clip right here. That clips onto the platform, holds all your rope nice and secure, and it's all kind of, you know, secure and out of the way. However, like I said, I found this rope unusable. I'm going to play with it some more, and I'm going to do my best to train myself to use it. But out of the gate, I'm not digging their attachment method at all. So what I did do is I experimented with using it with a cam buckle, you know, the original attachment method for all tree stands and platforms and stuff. And it works really good with a traditional cam buckle. This is kind of a Frankenstein deal that I make. I like to use these am steel loops just because they're easy to manipulate. They keep their shape real nice. So this is a Lone Wolf Custom Gear strap, and then I like to use these Dyneema, just a loop, because it makes it nice. Rather than fooling with the thickness of the loop in the end of the strap, you can put these in, and then it just makes it real nice to hook on, where you're not like trying to fight things over. So this is the setup that I made for this, and this thing works really good with this setup versus the rope. I'm much happier with that, and this is what, unless I can figure out a better way to use that, make that rope work, this is what I would use in combination with this platform. One thing I forgot to mention is this thing comes with a clip on the post here that allows you to clip this onto your pocket or your saddle or a piece of webbing or whatever. The one thing I don't like about it is it's a little tingy. It'd be nice if they would have put something behind that, but it's not the end of the world to pull them 2 screws and put a piece of stealth strip or something in there, because there really is no way to make that not ting. Honestly, if you're climbing a tree, you're probably making more noise than this to begin with. But I don't like it. It's annoying. I don't know. I guess we'll do some filming outside. The bugs are terrible today, so that's not going to be fun. A pine tree. See, that right there, what just happened, that is an example of them teeth biting in and lifting it when I was trying to just slide it down. All right. All right, so this would be a pretty standard hunting setup for me. Now I'm going to put in as much side pressure as I can into this thing and see if we can get it to kick out. I don't think it's gonna at all. So I'm off the back of the tree pushing. Oh, I was able to make it move, but so now when you watch, it does take a little bit of force to get that rope unhooked from that cleat. All right, so just got in from outside. It is hot. The bugs are bad. I am sweating. So I've gotten a little bit more experience with this rope on here and this cam cleat. And it does, I'm able to get this thing to lock down and bite in every time I set it. It's not that it won't get tight. It's that you really got to set it good before you put your weight on it. And then after you put your weight in, you're still 100% of the time going to have to toe hook this thing to get it to at least once to get it to bite down and fully engage with the tree. So that's one thing that I kind of wish that they would have done differently with this. You know, cut a little bevel in here so this thing was easier to toe hook back up and reset again. For me personally, when I use this is kind of going to be an exploratory rig for me. I personally hunt out of a tree stand most of the time, but I do like saddle hunting. I just, unfortunately, I mean, it's just the truth that most of the time a tree stand is going to work out better for me, personally at least. But I did want to put together a light saddle rig because I do enjoy saddle hunting. But when I use this platform, I'm going to use it with the cam strap because it's nice to be able to set that platform on the tree, cinch that thing good and tight, fold it down, and get on it, and it's locked. You're not fooling around, toe hooking, or anything like that. When I'm hunting, I want to do as little movement and, you know, the least amount of dicking around because I just want to be efficient. I want to go up the tree, set all my equipment once. You know, once I get into here, now it's putting on the camera arm and setting up cameras and bow hangers and all that stuff. I don't want to be fooling around trying to do extra stuff, swinging off a rope on a tree. You know, one and done. Just set that stand, get up, move on to the next thing. So for me, this is what's going to work out best. For you, maybe you don't prioritize that quite as much. You just want to keep it as light as possible, which will be the rope. You know, these things add a little bit of weight. And you don't mind, you know, getting set up and then having to toe hook it a couple extra, you know, once or maybe twice more to get really locked on tight. Whatever. As far as taking side pressure, this thing's amazing. You can't. I was able to kind of kick it off the tree a little bit. I mean, that's abusing the shit out of it. You know, when it's locked down, this thing is pretty well locked. You don't have to worry about it. So now I kind of want to get into the freezing test. So I'm going to soak this platform down. I don't think we need to soak down the rope. I don't see any benefit to doing that. I mean, I guess it would be kind of interesting to see how well you can get the rope into the cleat if for some reason the rope gets wet and frozen. So yeah, let's just soak the whole thing down like this, the way it comes, and freeze it. And then we're going to try to set it up. After that, we'll let it freeze for a couple hours. All right, so this is going to simulate, you know, getting rained on or having snow. You know, if this thing's in your truck and it's warm and it's snowing, snow lands on it and melts. This is I want to get this area here wet where the platform adjustment is. This is pretty much a guaranteed failure. I'm going to soak that up good, but we'll knock it out a little bit. Nope. All right. All right. So I'm going to let that thing freeze. We'll give it a few hours and see what happens.
3 hours later.
Oh yeah, that's locked up solid. Oh, starting to melt already. But that adjustment's done. Let's go try to get this thing on a tree quick. All right, look at all that frost on there. Oh man, it's warm. This rope's already thawed out. Okay, so she snapped. The rope's already completely melted. All right, so we did the freeze test. The test was kind of a failure on my end. It's too warm out. I couldn't do anything fast enough to really test the operation of the rope when it's frozen. You know, it melted like instantly. It's hot and humid outside today. The tilt adjustment or the angle pitch adjustment for the platform that failed when it was frozen. You couldn't turn it, but honestly, the way that this thing is designed, it's not going to get a lot of moisture in there, provided this thing is dry to begin with. You know, if for some reason you did, you had hunted in the snow, or you set it down in the snow or got a bunch of snow on it, then it got in the vehicle and thawed out and melted and got in there and then refroze in your truck overnight and you go out hunting the next morning, then sure, I could see that getting to be a pain in the butt where you'd have to actually bring this thing in the house and dry it out overnight. But, probably not the most likely thing. Certainly not something I would worry about. I could definitely see these tabs that you got to push in freezing up and you're not being able to disengage this to fold it up. I could definitely see that happening. That will happen to guys. But like I said, it's really not the end of the day, or really not that big a deal at the end of the day, because you can just fold it up and it's just wider, but you can still get it. It's not like it's going to stop you from hunting. It's just going to stop you from packing up a little easier. Other than that, the platform's really not a bad deal. Let's get a weight on it, because I guess we did not do that. I weighed it already, but I'll weigh it for you guys. With the rope, it came out at 2.1, but I'll verify that. 2.1 with the rope. It's 2.4 pounds, so it's 3 more ounces with the cam strap. So for me, 3 ounces is kind of a no-brainer. So now that I kind of run this thing through the paces and handle it and stuff, would I buy this thing again? To be honest, I'm kind of on the fence. I'm not sure. If I was just going to be a saddle hunter, I think this is a pretty sweet setup. I would run it with a cam strap over this, just because it's a little less dicking around. It's a little heavier, but it's faster and easier, and it has a better bite. I kind of like to, I primarily run a mobile tree stand setup, and I really like it. There are things about saddle hunting that I do miss, and I was trying to put together an ultra lightweight kind of exploratory saddle kit for hunting the western part of the state, is where I kind of seen myself doing it. Would I buy this again just to have, as a supplement piece? No, I don't think I would. I'm a little less excited about this thing than I was when I bought it. But I don't know, it's pretty nice. It's a very well-made, well-crafted piece of equipment here that obviously a lot of engineering went into. There's some things I would change about it that we already talked about, but so that's kind of where I stand on it. I hope you found this helpful. If there's anything that I left out that you would like to know, leave it in the comments. I'd like to know kind of what I missed in your guys' opinion. I got a lot more reviews I'm planning on doing on other pieces of equipment. So let me know. Otherwise, good luck hunting, guys, and I'll see you on the next video.